10 years ago, this time of year, I was returning from a marvelous trip, about 11 days, 12 days with my mom and my dad in Hawaii, our first time to go. It was a trip made possible by the generosity of some friends, and I was very relaxed as I came back to my first parish assignment in Georgetown, St. Helen. I've been there for not quite 2 years, and when I got back, my pastor, Father Brian, who's next door at St. Paul now, Father Brian said to me, "Well, we got a call from the personnel board, and they want to move you this summer." And I thought, well, I knew that would come sooner or later as a young priest. And I began to think about where would the bishop ask me to go. So I began to make a list of places that I did not want to go. There were only 2 on that list. I was pretty open otherwise. We have 127 parishes, chapels, and missions in the Diocese of Austin. And number 127, I thought, well, in all honesty, there's one priest in the diocese that I just don't think it will work out. And I'd have to explain that to the personnel board. That would be number 127. And number 126 would be the largest parish in the diocese. Lord, I don't want to go to either of those places. I had to wait, had to pray about it and think about it, because I knew I might either be invited to be an administrator or a parochial vicar again. And I got a call. A priest friend of mine called and he said, "Tim, the bishop would like you to go to St. William, number 126 on my list, the largest parish in the diocese." And I said, "I will go. I'll do my very best." I said, "By the way, Father, since we know each other, I'll tell you that was the next to last on my list of places I wanted to go." It was a good reason that the Lord sent me there. It was a wonderful year, but it was also a year in which I had to encounter some of those things that were necessary to pass through in my own personal and ministerial insecurities as a young priest, to face up to certain fears I had as a young priest. So I went to St. William and began ministry there, and it was really a very marvelous year, but I had to face up to these things. After a few months, they bubbled to the surface, and I realized, Lord, you're doing some good work here, but I need help. So eventually I asked our pastor, said I'd like a week to go to Florida. Now, my other friend, Father Francisco, he'd gone to this place called the John Paul II Healing Institute with Dr. Bob Schutz. And I'd heard about it, and I thought, I am ready to go. Lord, what do you have in mind for me there? By the way, Father Francisco, he was assigned at St. William his first year of priesthood. He is now the pastor of St. William. How the Lord works. So I went to Florida, spent a week with other priests and seminarians for the Holy Desire Retreat, and the Lord began to fill in some gaps for me, began to give me some new insights that would ultimately lead to more freedom. Along the way, I accumulated some good notes as well as some wonderful books. And I have found that that week changed my priesthood. Began to give me some tools that I use every single week in ministry. Tools that help me in spiritual direction, they help me in pastoral care, they help me in the confessional. Tools about how to walk people through very quick sense of healing prayer, how to walk through times of when we're dealing with unforgiveness, resentments that don't go away, how to talk about the wounds that stay with us from, it seems, forever. Those things where we get triggered and we don't know how to overcome. I began to get new insight in how to talk with people about that, how to find that God enters into our areas of woundedness and helps us repent of false belief systems about who he is and who we are in his grace. So my experience at St. William, even though I didn't want to go through that, I knew that I needed to go through it. And that set the stage for what was to come the next 3 years and the next 4 years. I ended the year with joy and great thanksgiving, and I accumulated another parish family. Today, post-resurrection, before the ascension and before Pentecost, Peter is going back to a very familiar place. He's doing something he knows how to do. He's fishing. And the resurrected Lord shows up. This is a bit of we call it a recapitulation in a movie or in a story. We're returning back to the beginning. If you could look at Luke's gospel, what was Peter doing when Jesus asked him to follow him? He was fishing. How long had he been fishing? All night. How much did he catch? 0 fish. The Lord borrowed Peter's boat to do some ministry and then said, now put out again. And Peter did and caught such a great catch of fish that the nets were being ripped. And he's like, my Lord and my God. It was the first time Peter really had this awakening in the Gospels of, wow, you are something different. And of course, the Lord extended that invitation, come, follow me. So we're back to this, a familiar setting for Peter, a familiar setting for the Lord and Peter and his disciples. A familiar setting where the Lord is offering to feed from the fish and the loaves. His miracles of the fish and the loaves, the feeding of the multitudes, the 5,000 comes to mind. There's one other factor here, and that is the charcoal fire. How many of you like to cook with charcoal? Okay, I'm going to try it someday. I haven't yet bought my own little charcoal grill. I like propane because it kind of goes faster. But he was cooking over a charcoal fire. How many times do we see charcoal in the Gospels? Do you know? 2 times. This is number 2. Number 1 was when Peter was outside after Jesus had been arrested, warming himself around a charcoal fire, and someone came up to him and said, "You know that man they just arrested. I do not know him." "Yes, you do. I've seen you with him." "I do not know him." "Yes, you do." "I do not know that man." How many hours had he walked away from the Last Supper? "I would never deny you," and has his moment of greatest failure. Think of the humiliation. How do we recover from our moments of greatest failure? How do we recover the sense of God's peace and love when we yet again fail his love and really, really blow it? Jesus needed Peter to see the charcoal fire. And I can see Peter thinking, well, it's the Lord, I'm going to run to him. That's what I do. Kind of an impulsive character, very passionate man. But the charcoal fire and these questions come to Peter in a way that at first are a little awkward. Do you love me more than these? You know I love you. Well, then feed my lambs. Okay. Peter had already received some very strong words about what the Lord would do with Peter's ministry earlier on. Another question. Simon, son of John, do you love me? Yes. I just told you that I love you. Third time around, I think Peter's beginning to recognize this is such a difficult moment. Lord, you're going to ask me again, do you love me? How much humiliation do you think I can stand in front of others? You're returning now to the point of my greatest failure. And this is how mercy works. With the gaze of the Lord at Peter in front of the community, Peter basically is saying, I have nothing else to offer you. Nothing. I don't have a history of success over here. I have some failure to offer you. I have only myself. It's you and me. That third time, do you love me? You know everything. Here's where he admits it. Lord, you see me naked. You see me for who I am. You know that I love you. Letting you see me, I want to return to you that gaze of love because I have nothing else. When Peter was trying to walk on the water, he looked away from the Lord and sank. All the times of his failure, he walked away from the Lord. Now Peter would remain stuck, glued to the Lord from this point forward. So when the day of Pentecost comes, there's no looking back. Isn't this how mercy works? Isn't this how the resurrected Lord enters in? Each one of us, he comes to us with that question, do you love me? We learn that as children, Jesus loves me, this I know. For the Bible tells me so. We train our children the words of faith, the songs of faith, the traditions of the faith, because in every single one of those things, Jesus is saying, do you love me? I love you. Do you love me? Because he needs us to dig into that question because the hard times are going to come. And then when he says, follow me, we say it with great joy when it's easy, and then when it's hard and we need his mercy or we need his hope and his inspiration, we still say yes. Peter demonstrates for us how mercy works. The call of the mission never went away. Jesus never revoked the words, you are Peter. On you I will build my church. That never went away. The Lord has the vision to see the hope, the call for each of our own mission. You and I each have a mission through baptism. And even in our moments of greatest failings, he's saying, no, you stay with me, come, grow together with me. Peter receives the permanent mindset that Christ's strength is manifest in our weakness. The weakness he wants from us is not our sin. He wants us to stay with him so we can begin to overcome. But we don't overcome ever on our own strength, always with him. a few days. It could be Wednesday this week, could be Thursday, could be next week. There will be one man who's asked a very particular question. Do you accept your canonical election as supreme pontiff? The cardinals will vote, and one man will receive the vote finally and get that question asked of him. And when he says yes, then he'll be asked, by what name do you wish to be called? And he'll give us a new name. Just like Pope Francis, Jorge Bergoglio gave us a new name. Cardinal Ratzinger gave us Benedict XVI. Cardinal Wojtyla gave us John Paul II. This will continue because Christ continues to live out his governance of the church through his successor to Peter, the Pope. So I think it's helpful to see how God raised up Peter and trained him, took him through the hard spots, took him through the places Peter didn't want to go, because Peter knew I had to let God's love burn its way into the core. In the governance of the church, along with the Pope and the bishop's our local pastor, Deacon Jesse and I have a participation in the ministry of the bishop of the governance of the church here in St. Joseph Parish. Spiritual authority flows from the top down. However, I propose that grace flows from the ground up. It's often been said that God gives us the leaders that we deserve. We have this time more now than ever to be with Peter, to let the Lord look at us to say, do you love me? What is it that's impeding your love of me? What are you afraid to let go of? Where do you need me to do a deeper work of healing? And trust. And then come follow me. Can you imagine how Peter heard those words finally at the very end? After Jesus sealed the deal with this mercy, and he says, come follow me, Peter is like, yes, I will do that. As I mentioned, each one of us has our mission. And as we stay close to God, as we unite ourselves with his love, as we bring our sacrifices through the state of grace to the cross, grace grows. Grace increases. How does the church become holy? Is it top down? We'd like to think it is. We'd like to always look at somebody above us and say, if you were only better, I would be better. That's false. The only person that can become better is me. And I can do that so that the person next to me has room to become better, right? It is a time to continue to pray, to get on our knees and ask God for him to renew us in his love. This is how Killeen is changed. This is how our world is changed. It's you and I doing the things we do every day here at St. Joseph in faith, letting him look, love, and say, come, follow. At the beginning, just like with the disciples, what's going to happen is he invites them the first time around, come follow me. He gets to know us. He sneaks up on us. The Father is always drawing us around the Son. And he proposes that question, do you love me? And then says, come follow me. As we allow him to see us, to prune us, to test us in his fire of love, we come with greater confidence into that journey of faith. What beautiful words to hear over and over again. And like Peter, each time they come richer and deeper in meaning. I shared my story at the beginning because I have found how true Jesus is to his calling. Over and over as we grow, we become more like him. The dark valleys we pass through come and go, but God's love remains and grows in us in ever deeper ways. We then learn it is a joy to pick up our cross and follow Christ, for there really is no other way.